welcome to my channel. My name is Claudia Elwell, and today I'm going to talk to you about the principles of sublimation. What is it that we can do to have better prints, or what is it, or what it takes for us to have better quality in our images, to have beautiful colors like this, and to have a very nice product, at the end, to come up with a very nice image that looks really vivid and bright on our items. So for this, I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that are important for us to keep in mind every time that we're going to sublimate anything. I'm not going to talk specifically about one item, cups or shirts or cups or anything like that. I'm just going to talk to you about sublimation in general. And I'm going to share with you things that have worked for me and that I always try to keep in mind every single time that I'm going to do sublimation. Okay, stay with me. Okay, the number one thing that I always keep in mind when I'm going to sublimate is the material that my item is made of. If I have items, or substrates that are lower in polyester, my images are not going to be very vivid. They're not going to be very bright. Therefore, I'm not going to have a good product. So the one thing that I'm looking for is to have an item that is high in polyester. For example, I always do 85% or higher. I will not sublimate anything that is 65% or less. Because if I'm going to sublimate on something that is 65% or less, my ink is not going to it's not going to attach or absorb, or the material is not going to absorb the ink in a way that is going to last. So you don't want to sublimate in anything that is, I personally recommend 85% or higher. If I have anything less than that, if I have 60, 65, or 70, I will not go this route. I will, look for other choices like DTF, DTG, some other script printing, any other choice that is not sublimation, because my image is not going to last, and it's going to be washed, and it's going to be, it's just, all my work in a way is going to be wasted. And also my money, because obviously I'm investing. I have ink, I have the paper, and I have my supplies that they're not going to last on my item if I don't have 85% or higher, in my personal opinion. But this is my opinion. To have at least 85% polyester. I always look for higher, 90, 95, or 100% polyester when I want to do sublimation. But if I really have a shirt or something that I really, really like, and it's 85 polyester, then I will do it. But anything lower than that, I probably will not go that route. I will choose something else, to decorate my apparel. But if that has worked for you in the past, then that's great. Okay, that's awesome. In my personal opinion, I will search for items that have at least 85% polyester. That's your number one thing to look for when you want to sublimate anything. High count in polyester. Okay, we are talking here about things that we should look into, or we should keep in mind when we are sublimating something. Okay, we talked about number one, polyester, high count of polyester, and I recommended 85% or more. You can get away with 70, 65, however, the best results that you're going to get are the higher the polyester, the better results you will have, okay, for sublimation. So another thing that is very important, this is thing number 2, or element number 2, are colors, okay? Believe it or not, when you decorate apparel, it's very important for us to keep in mind colors. Some of us like bright colors, right? And some other people like lighter colors. Well, let me tell you, if you're gonna do sublimation, even when you have an item, okay, or a short garment that is polyester, and you say, well, this is 100% polyester, and this is 100% polyester, then I should be okay. The darker the colors are, the less your image is going to show. For this, for example, this is not sublimated. This is just to show you. This will not be that clear. The image will not be as visible because it's a darker color. This one is sublimated, and this one is, even though it's light gray, and I'm sorry it's wrinkled, but you can see still the doggies. You can see the doggies in there, the Halloween doggies. However, they're not bright. They're not as vivid. I still love it. However, they're not that, that bright. But you still can sublimate on light gray. Now, if you look back right here, we have white, right? We have white in here as my background for my shirt. We have white. This is my lunchbox right here, and I used white lunchbox, mouse pads, okay, that are white, and the cup that I have here is white, and this one was glass. It was glass, transparent glass. So the reason why you see most of the time, you see things that are white for you to sublimate, all the blanks, right, are gonna be like that, or very, very light pink, very light gray, like this one, for example, very light orange, like very, very light blue. So you're gonna see all that light colors. And there is a chart out there. I don't know where exactly. If I will look for it, and if I can find it, I will gladly post it below for you to check. But the rule here is the lighter the color, the better results you are going to get. Kind of the same concept as the polyester concept. The higher the polyester, the better results you get. The lighter the colors, the better results you're gonna get. So light colors or white are your best bet for sublimation. And that's the reason why we have all our blanks are obviously white, because why? Because that's where you're gonna get the best colors. And also another thing to keep in mind, you cannot do white on sublimation. So in a way it works out, because all the whites are just gonna stay like this. So it works out in a way, you know what I mean? When you get your white blank, your blank is going to be, if you have a lot of white, then it's not going to show on your, it's not gonna be showing like a missing piece on your image, because your blank is white. So it's another thing that I always try to keep in mind when I'm going to sublimate. Again, if I have a shirt, or if I have something, an item that I really, really like, right, but it's red, even though it's polyester, let's just say that I wanted to sublimate on this one. This one, for example, if it was polyester, and I can see what it is, but if this one was polyester, then I say, okay, I can sublimate because it's polyester. Yes. and the image will show in here, but the neatness or the vivid, the clear image is not going to be as bright and vivid as is in white. So that's another recommendation that I will offer to you, just to look for high polyester, high lighter colors, like light pink, light orange, light blue, and obviously white. White is gonna be your number one color to go to when it comes to sublimation. Okay? Okay, another thing that I always keep in mind when I'm sublimating is my temperature. Regardless if you're using a heat press or if you're using a mug press or any element that helps you to transfer heat into your print. Whatever you're using, or an oven, okay, whatever you are using, sublimation needs high temperature. And it's usually depending on what you're doing. If you're doing ceramic, it changes, it varies. So if you're doing ceramic, if you're doing mouse pads, if you're doing, cups, whatever you're doing, it's gonna vary. However, there is this kind of parameter that I always use that is from 385 Fahrenheit to 400 Fahrenheit, or 395 Fahrenheit. Is that high, or that temperature, okay, that level of a temperature is when the ink gets activated. And then it's going to transfer to our cup, or it's going to transfer to our item. If we have the temperature lower than that, the chances are that we get something like this, okay, where the colors are not just there, they're just barely there. And they're very, very light. And then you say, well, what happened? I have polyester, I have a light color, which is white, but my colors, my image still is not vivid, is not bright, and definitely, it almost is barely there. I can barely see it. So what happened here? Your temperature was probably too low. There are some companies that when we buy blanks, instructions are there. Those are the best. BYD has, their items, their products come with instructions. I love that because it's very easy just to look at the paper that is inside the box and just follow that. Sometimes our notes are not that handy for us, right? If you are like me, sometimes it's hard to get organized with notes because we have different items that have different standards or different parameters that we have to follow. So it's sometimes hard for us to remember all of that. So if you have your notes, that's great. It's always a great idea to keep a notebook, where you have your notes in there to write every item and the temperature that you're using to be successful. Or if you have a computer, obviously, for sublimation, you need a computer. So to do your prints, but on your computer, you can have a document where you can keep your notes as well. And that way the only thing you have to do is go to your document and look at your notes. So keep that in mind. It's always 385 to 400, but always check for your recommendations on your box or on your company from where you're getting your blanks. Hello everyone, we are talking tonight about sublimation, and I am sharing with you the factors or the elements that I keep in mind when I am sublimating. When I choose to use sublimation, there are few things that I always keep in mind in order for me to be successful. I always make sure that I have high count of polyester. If I don't have high count of polyester, I will not do sublimation, because sublimation is such a beautiful process, and we get beautiful results that if I don't have those elements, high percent on polyester, at least 85%, then I will not do sublimation. I will go and do something else. You can do DTF, you can do DTG, you can do screen printing, you can do some other things that are compatible with those elements, cotton and the rest of those. So if I don't have high polyester, I will not do it. But that's me. Also, I always make sure that I have light colors, or white, preferably white, because that's where my image is going to look best. And I also make sure that my temperature is set to 385 to 400. It's high temperature, Fahrenheit degrees. Because with lower temperatures, the ink is not going to get activated. So it's always that thing, to keep in mind. And also check your settings on your Mac press or your heat press or your oven, because you might have degrees Celsius and you might not have degrees in Fahrenheit. So check your settings right there, so you make sure that you have the temperature that you need. Different items need different temperatures. So there are some items that need the 400 degrees. Other ones might need 395. Some others might need, it will be okay for 385. So depending on what you're making, depending on what you're working with, always check your instructions, because that way you're going to make sure that whatever you're making is going to be beautiful. So right now I'm going to talk to you about another element, and it's pressure. Also check your settings and check your instructions when you get your blanks, and see how high the pressure is. Sometimes we need medium to heavy, but sometimes we need heavy pressure. And if we don't have the heavy pressure that our items need, then my result or my product is not going to be very nice. My graphic or my image on my blank is not going to be vivid. It's not going to have bright colors. So it's always important to go and check and read about the blank that I'm using and what kind of pressure that needs. Okay, the last thing right here, okay, that I would like to share with you, or I would like just to put it out there, for us or for you and for everybody, for anybody that can benefit from this, is to get to know your equipment. Sometimes our equipment varies a little bit from what the instructions say. So some equipment our equipment can be very, very accurate, but there might be some equipment out there that it might not be accurate. For example, our mug presses or our ovens, okay, might not be that accurate. And the temperature that we set, it might not be the temperature that is actually producing. So we just have to make sure that we kind of know what kind of equipment we have. That way we know that we're using the accurate elements for our items to be very, very bright, very vivid, and we can achieve colors like these ones that I have in the back, that I have on my rack right here. So get to know your equipment, what kind of printer you have. The printers, they have to be sublimation or converted sublimation printers. If you have a converted sublimation printers, get to know the settings. If you have, obviously, with any printer that you are working with, if you have a sublimation printer, then get to know the settings, and how you are going to set up your printer in a way that you achieve very vivid, bright colors. You're the same thing with your heat press. Your heat press, get to know your heat press, and if you have one of those thermometers, just kind of set the temperature to, I don't know, 395, and then get the thermometer, and you can see, how accurate your heat press is. That way, your items are going to, when you follow directions and you see the temperature, you're going to be able to compare and say, well, my temperature is 1 or 2 degrees off. So this one says 385. So I probably should increase it 2 degrees. That way I reach the 397. But because my heat press is 2 degrees off, then I might switch it a little bit. I might, increase it or change it a little bit. That way, I get all the elements that I need to achieve good quality in my products. So this is it. If you have any questions, let me know. If this is helpful, please subscribe to my channel. If I was helpful, if you learned something today, I always appreciate new subscribers. Thank you so much, and you have a blessed day.